Hello. Just a sec. Hello, my name is Goran Mekic. You're watching Tilda Center stream, mostly about FreeBSD with little detours like LDAP. And this is second in a row LDAP based talk. I'm gonna show you how to configure two of the services, uh, maybe even three. I have uh, eJabbered configuration also, so we might expose that. But you're gonna see kind of a pattern emerging between and a mapping between what you do with LDAP search compared to how do you configure your service to integrate and use LDAP. So there is this, let me see. Yeah, well, you know what this means. It means this. Maybe a bit larger. Okay. So this URL is where where this repository comes from, and you get a make file that is like this. Actually, um, just a little bit. What I want to show is that this line is part of post setup, so you're not um, bound to the um, Reggae provided targets inside this project. You can define some of the targets that will um, influence what Reggae does, and post setup is one of them. So after the project setup, this will be fired, executed. So yeah, there's some uh, mounting here that is configured. So can I do this? Maybe. Oh, I can. Then how about that? Basically, you can see that I'm mounting certificates from Let's Encrypt here, because you can see that all of them almost are Let's Encrypt, except this one. And I'm making available these certificates under Etsy certs for different other services that need them. And that's just one example how you can extend the capabilities of your Reggae based projects. And use here in vars will effectively override use here. And we did that because we just need mail as an example of uh, LDAP client. I think that that's the best term. That the mail in this uh, perspective is LDAP client example of such a client. I don't know what's wrong, but this is pushing too hard today. I don't know. Maybe my headache has to do something with it. Anyway, this is like a set of services that are configured for communication. I mean, human communication, Jabber, LDAP, IRC, right? But you can limit that to these. Everybody needs Let's Encrypt, and it's already configured, and so on. And LDAP and Mail need Let's Encrypt for their access, and this is how it looks like when I bring them up. Actually, they should be up, yeah. And I log into search with LDAP. Dash capital Z is for practically for TLS. What? I don't have anything. Oh, damn it. Okay, not a problem. So basically, our search for this base return no objects, and this file is where we configure default base unless stated otherwise. And we can change that if we say DC account, DC LDAP. It's also going to be empty, but you can see the base here that changed compared to without base and the default one kicking in. So let me just real quickly run through. Actually, maybe this is good. I'm going to use this as an excuse. I'm going to run through how to create LDAP service. Oh, sorry, no, not that. Ah, come on. Cooperate, please. How about this? No. Why doesn't the paste work? All right. No idea what I changed, but made a difference. And I'm going to add it with TLS with ask me password. I'm going to be this user, and I'm going to use this file. Okay, and oh yeah, sorry. Oh, what it says is that organization is oh, and I'm just gonna copy the DC component here. Because, is there? Yeah, this class organization requires attribute O, and when you look at it, there is organization as an object class here, so it must be populated somehow. So now when we add it, it's here, and finally this has some meat in it. Not very much, but there we are. And How we create a domain is by using, all right, by using this syntax, and I'm gonna replace domain with a tilde center. Right? When I save this and add it as a domain with the same credentials and all, now we have one more entity, one more object in the LDAP database. And last, let's add one user. Uh, and for that user, no, let me be more generic. Domain is still till the center here, and first name is going to be John, and the last name is going to be, I think this is how you spell it. I don't know. Anyway, what I wanted here is John Doe, uh, and it has the well, yeah, not that kind of whim. Uh, I'm gonna tag it with a user class of Jabber and Mail, and that's gonna uh, mean something. I'm gonna show you how in just a second. But this is what we need to add, and password. Check it again, and we see John Doe here, right? And it knows how to abbreviate these DC multiple DC components. The main component is what DC stands for account.ldap. Now this could have been tilde center, and this would be abbreviated to tilde.center. So it knows how to abbreviate, how to assemble subdomains and so on. But I haven't seen much support in LDAP clients to use this, and that's why I have domain here, unfortunately. Otherwise, this would be such a cool feature to have a truly tree-like domains and subdomains as they are, naturally displayed, imagined maybe by humans and abstracted by machines. So it would be real cool to be able to work with these kinds of domains, but yeah, we are where we are. And you can see that uh, it's storing full path of the home directory, and this will mean something in just a moment. So we have all this in our database. No, I want this. And this is without comments. So this is the screen full of data that we have in our database right now. So if I say, but give me so that user class is male, I can filter it to this, or that your pick any of these attributes and you can filter your search using that. If you want, let's say, multiple, you're going to do some, what was it? I think user class Jabber and one more, and it's prefixed. So give me this and this at the same. Obviously not. Eh, did I forget the syntax? What's going on? Eh, yes, I did. Mail and Jabber. Oh, I can. Right. Yeah, there was a typo with this. I want to use a finger to show you where it is. But yeah, this equals to be erased, and this goes here. So you can use multiple, or you can use or you can use more brackets to make this really complex filter based on whatever attributes you have here. And uh, you can imagine if you're using programming language, you can achieve even more. But yeah, important thing from the aspect of mail is that these two numbers are the same. Because that's how our it's called mail delivery agent. That's Dovecot. Um, the the stuff the piece of software that actually writes the file, the mail as a file, uh, it's gonna run under these UID and GID. So it's really important that these are the same for mail. But you can see if this is used for authentication using PAM, pluggable authentication module, uh, you want these to be different, right? And you want different user and group ID management. Find the next free and so on, right? So it really depends on your LDAP scheme really depends on your use case. And I mean, these can be hard coded in Dovecot, I think. So if you have a need for PAM and mail delivery, maybe you can use that or some other technique. I don't know. But I'm gonna show you where this come into play in just a sec. So let's say we have email, and for email, let's go over postfix first, and let's just ignore all this and just concentrate on. Let me see if I can fit it all. All right. On these three sections, this is where LDAP and postfix is. So, this is not the order doesn't matter. So, domains being first to explain, they could well be here if we wanted them. And you can see, give me the server where to search, search base, and this is not really exciting for domains. We will see later why. Yeah. And it says, okay, give me accounts, basically. But give me accounts so that scope is one. That means only if you remember, here is basically, this is what scope one means, is that give me just one depth here. If we have something like, and we do, for example, this, this is not searched. And our scope of search for the domains is limited to this OU, organizational unit. So that's what this means, and we are expecting OU to be one scope under the search base. And we are searching all organizational, filtering, sorry, all organizational units, object class, and we're searching for the specific one. And this $S is what postfix is going to replace with the actual search query, right? If it needs some domain. And it says, okay, am I hosting tilde.center? And this is how you search for it, right? So this is searching, and we can see use TLS. Debugging, caching, and authentication is really hard, so I tend to turn it off. But if you know how to handle it, I imagine caching is really cool because you're gonna authenticate now and then. But I don't have such a big volume email server to need this, so it's okay for now. Just you should be aware that it can be optimized more. You can squeeze out more juice out of your uh, maybe a crappy machine like I use, the old hardware, right? So this is how we get to what are domains that are um, accepted by postfix first. Then it's going to search for aliases and users called, well, mailboxes, but aliases are like uh, uh, um, how to call them. I don't, I don't know the proper term, but those that like a load balancer. No. Uh, if I have, for example, Jane Doe, that is actually an alias for John Doe, sending an email to an alias will cause postfix to say, okay, can you locate this alias where it is by using this filter? Right, I need a person with this user ID, and search base also can be with a parameter, right? This is if the main is tilde.center, then populate it here and search for aliases that are Jane, UID equals Jane, and also one scope, no caching, TLS. But result attribute is other mailbox. I'm gonna just describe what it means. You can have multiple attributes in LDAP. Uh, Let me actually show you that. Right? Just like user class, LDAP for every attribute allows multiple values. So unfortunately, also user ID. I discovered this by error. Watch it. User ID is not so unique. DN as a distinguished name is, but user ID inside an object is not. And that's so annoying. I would really like if user ID was, if I add multiple and they are multiple to one object, that LDAP screams at me, but unfortunately not. So watch out. First, how to call it? Common error is to assume that user ID is unique for the object and this object can have multiple user IDs. Not great, but yeah, watch out. Second, you don't see any other mailbox here, but actually, let me edit this one. So let's say that John is replaced by Jane, and I'm not gonna replace all of them, so who cares? It's not going to be Jabber. Mail is going to be this one. I need to have some home directory, so why not the proper one? But I can say here other mail John at Tilda Center. Okay, and the same user class. Maybe I don't even need it for alias, but if I ever decide to uh, redirect all Jane's mail to John, but also keep the Jane's mail in this home directory in her own mailbox, then this user class is going to be handy. So I'm going to edit, I always edit uh, for aliases too, although technically you don't have to. Now, this. So if I add this user, other mail, not mail, it's I think mailbox. Or alright. I thought I'm gonna be embarrassed. Alright, so basically from the LDAP perspective, we have two persons. Okay, maybe best shown like this. We have two persons, and how come? Because no object class equals person exists here. There is a pilot person and POSIX account, but LDAP objects, sorry, LDAP classes no inheritance, like object-oriented programming kind of inheritance. So this class, I know for sure, maybe even this one, but this class inherits person, so I can be so generic and say, okay, give me persons, right? And it's gonna return these two. So from LDAP perspective, these are two user accounts, but from mail perspective, they're not, because this is an alias to this one, and this one not having an alias is going to be a proper mailbox, what we expect from mail, right? So if we go back, right, and we look at, oh yeah, the how does, we don't have to call them this. We said uh, this is actually uh, these three are actually what tells Postfix use LDAP for maps, domains, and uh, mailbox maps. Sorry, aliases, domains, and mailboxes. Use LDAP and specifically aliases, domains, and mailboxes. So when you do it like that, you can say whatever you said is LDAP config for the mailbox underscore server host, right? So that's why this is so looks alike, because Postfix knows how to prepend this mailboxes, domains, and aliases, because that's how you call them here. Okay, And by that, other mailbox from Jane is going to be John's. So it's gonna jump over to this mailbox where result attribute is mail, and here it isn't. Technically, we can say mail here. There won't be an infinite loop. I checked, so this is not technically wrong, but come on, other. This way, you're having one attribute for aliases and one for mailboxes, and it's easier to filter. Especially, it means something for Dovecot and clustering. Uh, so, I was mentioning Dovecot, um, and it's kind of base of operation because Dovecot is going to use the actual is going to do the actual delivery, and you can see user is nobody uh, that this uh, Dovecot's deliver is going to run as. So nobody is user and group ID 65553 whatever that I said that it's important to match. And why that? Because if you look at it, nobody in in here, this is user ID and also a group ID, right? And that's why we use these in LDAP. So they have to match for this to actually work, right? I don't know if you can use uh, IDs here in Postfix. I didn't try. So yeah, and this user is how am I going to run this command? But this user is, and the next hop is how am I going to deliver an email? So this user is not this user. Unfortunately, it's not. It's ambiguous, yeah. But this is how am I going to run this command, and this is where am I delivering. So this is going to be John at Tilda Center. And next hop means that it's supported to have, for example, John plus pizza at Tilda Center. And when delivering, this will be John at Tilda Center. And that plus something will be ignored. And it's very good if you're filtering your emails using to delivered to attribute, a header of an email, right? So that's supported. And because Dovecot is doing the delivery for this user in a form of email, it doesn't know where. We have to tell it, we have to configure it. And there is, actually, I have no idea where the configuration is because, what? Really? Uh, I don't know. Recover. All right. Oh, oh, I can. Right. I had to Wims editing the same file. So the reason I don't know Dovecot is because its configuration is all over the place. I mean, these are the templates for configuring uh, Dovecot. And I know local delivery agent is one of them. And yeah. Not what I'm looking for. Okay, it doesn't have anything. Authentication will have something, right? Okay, use LDAP. So it means it's here. Oh no, I want to first show you how do I know. All right, how do I know where the users are? And yeah, no, no, only this one. Okay, so move this all away, and I know that LDAP dot whatever domain there is that we configured through this FQDN in the project vars.mk is going to be passed along, not this, not this yet, is going to be passed along Ansible here. So I'm going to, for tilde center, I'm going to have ldap.tilde.center, and it's going to configure local unbound. So this is local LDAP instance, not the one in the, not any one in the cluster, but a local one. So this works locally. Uh, it's gonna use TLS, right? Authenticate. No. This is what we're looking for. Base is domain, then account LDAP, just like Postfix. Also, just search one level down, go deeper. And by the way, this is not, even if you put subtree here or in postfix, they will not know how to use the DC equals something, DC equals something, and to assemble it into domain. So that's the, how to say, software inability to communicate that with through configuration to LDAP. So if that's the situation, then I want to limit the search for the to the smallest possible scope, and that's one level, just one level, right? So user filter is, I'm abusing the person here, no pun intended, but yeah, and this is the user part of the email. So if it's John at tilde.center, this percent %n is John. I need the user class to be, okay, the mail has to be enabled, right? This is how we filter users that have mail capabilities from the others. In Dovecot, Postfix does it also, right? And this is pass attribute, how to get authentication, right? And how to filter for for authentication. And you can see home directory is set to this unit number to this. All right, and this is a mapping between left is LDAP attribute, right is Dovecot um, attribute the thing is searching for. So this is how you map user to how you tell Dovecot how to work with LDAP attributes when it finds them. So you don't have to name them exactly the same that Dovecot named them. And this is basically how you're looking. Okay, does the user exist? And is how do you check the password? and do authentication. So these two are for authentication. And user DB is this. Yeah, we just looked at that file. FastDB is also that. Okay, we just looked at it. And this is how you tell Dovecot where to look for the exact configuration of the LDAP attributes mapping and so on. So this is just one example of service using LDAP, and I'm just gonna real quickly run through another because it's simpler. Jabber from the perspective of LDAP configuration is simpler compared to mail. And okay, this is what I want. LDAP, and this is the part with the LDAP in Jabber. All right. Oh yeah, one. You have to recompile Postfix and Dovecot with LDAP support, or you can go to pkg Tilda center, and it's already compiled with support for this one. It's compiled for with support for LDAP in there, so you might want to use that repository. And uh, maybe you don't need anything extra but LDAP support, so that's in. Postfix also has blacklist support, but we're gonna talk about it on some other time. We're gonna go back to that. It's a really cool feature of FreeBSD, but I think it's NetBSD original technology is from NetBSD. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's not a topic today. What I want to talk about is LDAP all day long. And this is how you tell Jabber authenticate through LDAP. This is Ansible variable. Also is gonna populate Jabber domain with FQDN from vars in the project. So Ansible knows what's that variable. And this is pretty what we used to see, what we saw in mail. Use TLS. This is your base. Mail is what you're searching for, and it's in a user at domain format. These are the percentage U is gonna be replaced with user part of Jabber ID, which is same as mail basically. Uh, so Jabber is gonna do that, and Ansible is gonna do this part, generating configuration. So on every request for authentication, eJabber is going to say, okay, this percentage U is user port and this is the main port, and filter it like this, right? User class is Jabber, not mail. And once we remove the user class Jabber from object from a person, it doesn't have a support. It cannot log in to Jabber anymore, right? Because this is what stops it. And once logged in, this just becomes Jabber user. You can however you configure eJabber, you just carry on, right? And this is the glue between eJabber and LDAP. So there is just one more thing I really want to talk about. Really fast run through it. And that's it's not easy to have multi-master laboratory. So I'm gonna expose what this file does, and up to some detail. I'm not gonna go into depth of LDAP, open LDAP multi-master implementation because I don't know. And you can see by the syntax, first this is going to be a numerical ID, like I'm just gonna make up 43. Or maybe even better, just one number. And this is going to be replaced with a number. And this is going to be the same number. Actually. And no, is it? No, it's not. Actually, this is going to be one number. Okay, I found a bug. And this is going to be another one. Now, maybe I'm just going to say 2 and 21 here. And I'm just going to tell you why. And when you're probably going to have another Ansible role or whatever you like to use for managing this file, the slapdmultimaster.conf, because what this roles will do is they will configure it all commented out with this how do you call it, ARPs, I don't know, but yeah, commented out, and it will never touch it again. If that file exists, the Ansible will not recreate, will not touch it, whatever the content is, but it will give you this empty template-like configuration file that if you want to configure it to match your environment, then uh, you have some template and it's easier just to fill in the values than configure it yourself. And that's why you're gonna probably configure this file through another set of roles or maybe another software. I don't know. Anyway, this is let's say this is a second server in the master, and there is already one. And what I like to do is that replication ID is not server ID, but it starts with the same digit. And that's how I know this server ID 2 relates to server ID 1, and that's replication ID. So that means if I ever see 2 digits in a row, this is wrong. This is impossible configuration because that with this convention, that means synchronize with yourself, right? And that's something I don't want. So this is not something LDAP dictates. This is something I found easier to write because when I'm debugging, if there's error like this with a replication ID, it's easier to find. So there are some like forbidden values, and that's 2 digits in a row that are the same. And you can basically guess by reading what's going on here. uh, connect to what will probably be like LDAP 1 dot, and this will be replaced by Tilda Center. You have to work on your DNS that this points to a specific LDAP server. Uh, how do you synchronize? Schema checking, retry in, I think, seconds. Where to start? And DC equals LDAP is. You can have multiple, but for my purposes, it's all under one domain component. It's simpler for the, well, simpler use cases, but I can see that these domain components may become, for example, this when you grow, because you have multiple, really big amount of uh, data in your LDAP, and you have to segregate it somehow, or something like that. But I'm not still at that level, and I'm okay with everything being on one search base. So that's totally fine for me. And this is what you recognize, right? Even if you don't know what it is when you read, you know what it is. And we want mirroring. This is self-explanatory. Well, loaded this one, overlay, no idea what it's doing. Uh, do checkpoints, but I'm not sure what 10 and 1 do, and how much to retain in a session log from synchronization, right? So this is how multi-master works. And for example, on the other end, let's just say I'm gonna do it in one file, but let's just say this is another server, the one server ID 1, and I'm gonna have this here and this here, right? Probably your credentials will be the same across your um, cluster, and this config. Uh, so this is how you configure multi-master for LDAP, and it's beautiful because I left it. I had an error in my basically pfconf that, not to go into details, it didn't. Uh, didn't proxy the how it's called, the ports. It didn't redirect ports to the server, so my synchronization was out for a few weeks. Luckily, I didn't have any conflicts when I fixed the firewall. Everything synchronized without problems, and that's really cool. Uh, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't know how you solve problems with multi-master split brain uh, scenarios, like having passwords changed on both servers. So who do you trust, and how does LDAP figures out what to do? I mean, that's something you know you're gonna encounter. It's just you hope it's much later rather than sooner. So this is, well, everything I wanted to tell you about LDAP. As you can see, there are ways to expand it, uh, like infinitely flexible service. I want to show you one thing. So this is generated configuration what Ansible generates in the end. And you can see that it includes some schemas and schema files. You can write your custom ones, and then flexibility goes to infinity, right? It's really infinitely flexible tool for your needs of mostly authentication, and it's made for uh, having frequent reads, non-frequent writes in mind, which is authentication most of the time. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. You are not bound by what I've shown you. You can alter the schema based on these files. Uh, you can do whatever you like. Maybe it's not persons you want to host. Maybe you're a DNS provider, and all you want are not persons but domains. And what I've shown with uh, OU as a domain does not work for you, but doesn't matter. Now you know how to change it to something more appropriate for you. And if you do have DNS software and integrate with LDAP, think about DC equals DC equals DC equals, right? Maybe it's a really cool thing to think about. Um, Integration wise in the DNS, which is the internet. Okay, this is really everything about LDAP. Now you can hopefully um, continue your LDAP search for knowledge if needed without only using resources on the internet and reading these files, these schema files. I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, there is OCL. I think online. No, OLC, where configuration files of LDAP are in LDAP itself. So when you change them, no refreshing needed. Everything is um, available right now. It's changed and refreshed and so on. But I think that's a really, really advanced topic for the FreeBSD course. Anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next week with something more FreeBSD specific, and we're gonna see how Reggae abuses CBSD under the hood. Until then, um, I would ask you to think, give it a thought. This is where Tilda Center Patreon is, and all our lectures are and will be free forever. This is where CBSD, Reggae, Clonos are um, funded. So please think about it if you can. And if you want, this is our YouTube channel. Well, a short link for that will take you to our uh, courses on more stuff than just FreeBSD and more stuff than just IT. So uh, I don't know. Subscribe, like, give us a comment, especially if we fail at something. Give us a feedback how to become better. We really like that. And thank you for your support up until now.